Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff Brown from Convergint, coming to you live from GSX 2024. I'm joined here today by David Mueller from Genetec. David and I both work in the SLED space in South Florida, and we're here today to talk about Genetec Federation. So David, what is Federation?
Excellent question. So Federation is the ability for a system to share data back and forth. Typically a disparate system, so it could be video surveillance, access control information, license plate recognition reads, really any part of their Genetec system could be shared back and forth. And again, this is traditionally for disparate systems, not on the same network, maybe different sites, maybe completely different organizations.
And you mentioned disparate systems, so why is Federation important to a customer who's looking to deploy a unified video surveillance and access control system?
All right, yeah. So basically, if you had a customer that wanted access control, video, license plate recognition, intercom, and maybe they've got multiple locations, how do they control those? And this brings it all together as one in a very secure manner.
Federation's been a staple of Genetec for some time now, right? I mean, you guys have had it for as long as I can remember, right? Yep. It's really a staple of the product. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that separates Genetec in the marketplace, because it's one thing to share, it's another to do it securely. And you can get very granular as to how you share and when you share. So an example, a public-private partnership, right? Maybe you're a school that wants to share information with local law enforcement, or maybe you're a business that wants to contribute to citywide surveillance. How do you share that? When do you share that? And that's something that the customer gets to decide. So they maintain their privacy and their autonomy over their system.
Gotcha. So I've been in the business for about 15 years. I used to sell more, I'll say, distribution products, right? Back in the day, or a smaller integrator. And we had a bunch of DVRs and NVRs, and they were all networked on the same network together, and the customer could bring up different cameras and different servers. Yeah. How is Federation different?
So it's how we share. I'll give you a good example. I have a customer that is a public school, and they want to share their video with law enforcement. Their current system, they'd have to make the law enforcement a super admin on their system. There's no checks and balances there. They don't want to share that. They want to choose when they share. So with Genetec, they could say, hey, we only want to share when a panic button is pressed or a certain threat level is activated, and now that video is shared. So that school gets to make the policy that's best for them and their students.
So you can share video between different entities, what you're saying?
Yes.
So Dave, what about cloud? So
Yep.
Genetec's got a lot of cloud offerings now.
Yeah.
The new SaaS. Can I have a hybrid on-prem and cloud solution? Can that be federated? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So as an industry, we're headed towards the cloud. That is absolutely true. Large deployments, we're still seeing more on-prem just because they don't necessarily always have the bandwidth to send everything to the cloud. But I'll give you a good example. I have a county government that at all their buildings, they have on-prem storage for their video. At their parks, they don't want to put a server in a NEMA enclosure. It's going to get 400 degrees here in Florida. So they don't want that. They want to go straight to the cloud for those cameras. But the neat thing is when we federate those together back at HQ, it all looks the same to them. It's the same experience for the operator, even though technically these are different solutions, on-prem and cloud. So we do a very good job of doing that hybrid because of federation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned public-private partnerships. Tell me a little bit about Project Greenlight, why it's important in the state-local education space.
Exactly. So citywide surveillance. How do we bring in more video to allow crimes to be solved faster and hopefully deterred? So Project Greenlight was an awesome solution that came up in Detroit, where they literally brought in cameras from different gas stations and businesses around Detroit into Genetec. So that public-private partnership. Now, the reason why it's called Greenlight or Project Greenlight is because they put a physical green light on the side of the building to let criminals know that this is going to the real-time crime center. So they had a massive reduction in crime.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what about in the private space? How could Federation help a business or an organization respond to incidents at their sites?
Yeah. So I think it's providing information to first responders. So if you had your system federated to, say, local law enforcement, when you hit that panic button, now they can see inside your facility. So they can respond to where that threat is. So for a larger organization in particular, that's fantastic.
Right, from like the SOC or the command center, whatever buzzword they want to have in their organization, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Dave, who's your biggest value-added reseller?
That's a great question. Our number one is Convergint.
Great, awesome.